Whitebeard. Edward Newgate, known by his alias Whitebeard, was one of the most magnificent and tragic figures in the history of piracy. His name became a symbol of unimaginable power, and his personality was the embodiment of a unique pirate code based on the idea of family. Long before his first appearance in the story, Whitebeard's name already commanded awe. Ace in Alabasta openly declared his goal was to make Whitebeard the Pirate King.
白ひげは俺の知る中で最高の海賊さ。俺はあの男を海賊王にならさせてやりてえ。ルフィ、お前じゃなくてな。
And Buggy, recalling his adventures on Roger's ship, said that Whitebeard was a man who never forgave a slight against his comrades. Whitebeard was part of a past pirate crew, the Rocks Pirates, led by Rox D. Zebek. This crew, which included future emperors like Kaido, Big Mom, Golden Lion Shiki, and many others, was so powerful that it could only be stopped by the combined efforts of Garp and Roger during the God Valley incident, which took place 39 years ago. For most of the crew members, including Whitebeard, their goals at God Valley were simple: to seize the countless treasures and powerful devil fruits they believed were on the island. None of them even suspected their captain's true hidden motives. They were merely tools that Zebek used to achieve his personal goal, to save his family, who, as it turned out, were on that island. The Rocks Pirates disbanded, and Zebek was stopped by the alliance of Roger and Garp. Each member of the Rocks Pirates went their separate way. Whitebeard's life was governed by a single, simple, yet grand goal: to have a family. As an orphan from the poor island of Sphinx, from a young age he dreamt not of treasure or power, but of people he could call his children. This motivation permeated his entire pirating career. His might was legendary. He earned the title of the strongest man in the world, thanks to the Guragura Nomi fruit, which allowed him to create powerful vibrations and literally shake the air, causing earthquakes and tsunamis. Unlike other emperors whose territories were based on conquest and demanding tribute, Whitebeard's power was based on protection. His territories were dozens of islands in the New World, over which he raised his flag, guaranteeing them complete safety from pirates and slave traders. The most famous example was Fisherman Island, which Whitebeard took under his protection, saving its inhabitants from constant raids. In his own way, he was a protector of entire nations, not their conqueror. Whitebeard's crew numbered no fewer than 1,617 people. His forces were under the control of 16 powerful division commanders, who made up the main part of his crew. In total, no fewer than 43 crews were under Whitebeard's protection, making his fleet one of the most formidable forces in the world. One of the most significant events in Whitebeard's life, which led to his tragic end, was the Battle of Marineford. It wasn't just a battle, but a full-scale war that the world government orchestrated to publicly execute Ace. Whitebeard, without hesitation, challenged the full might of the Marine headquarters to save his son. Despite his old age and seriously failing health, he continued to fight. In the end, Whitebeard received 267 sword wounds, 152 gunshot wounds, and 46 cannonball wounds. However, even with so many wounds, he died standing, with not a single scar on his back, proving that he never retreated from a battle. His last words about the existence of the One Piece and that it was real started a new, even crazier era of piracy. Whitebeard's official bounty was 5,046,000,000 berry. This is the highest bounty among all the emperors and the second highest recorded among all pirates, second only to Roger. His surname Newgate can be read as New Gate. The irony is that his death truly became the gate to a new era of pirates, which he himself announced. After his fall, the balance of power in the New World collapsed, and a race began that changed history forever. Whitebeard's image alludes not only to the American wrestler Hulk Hogan, but also to Japanese folklore. He is compared to the legendary warrior monk Musashibo Benkei. He was a giant with superhuman strength, wielded a naginata, and died standing, pierced with arrows and spears. Whitebeard repeated this tragic and heroic death. Furthermore, according to Oda, Newgate had a dog named Stefan, who had the same white mustache as his owner. Whitebeard also possessed all types of haki. Kaido. If the title of the strongest man in the world belonged to Whitebeard, Kaido's title was the strongest creature in the world. This wasn't just an empty phrase, but proof of his near-complete invulnerability. However, behind his fearsome appearance and destructive power lay a deep, existential weariness. He was obsessed with finding a worthy death. This obsession became one of the key traits of his character, turning his life into an endless cycle of violence and suicide attempts. We first meet him as he jumps off a sky island trying to kill himself. We later learn that this wasn't his first attempt, but just one of many, and none of them were successful. The anime shows us that he couldn't be executed. When they tried to hang him, the chains broke. When they tried to execute him with a guillotine, the blade shattered. When they tried to pierce him with spears, they bent. He couldn't die. In his youth, like Whitebeard, he was part of the Rocks Pirates crew. After the fall of the Rocks at God Valley, Kaido started his own path. He was incredibly strong from a young age, as evidenced by his numerous captures and escapes from captivity. Over his life, he was captured by the Marines 18 times, and each time he managed to escape without a scratch. Kaido sought to create a world where only he held power. Kaido acquired his devil fruit at God Valley, which was given to him by Big Mom. It was the Uwa Uwa Nomi fruit, which allowed him to transform into a giant dragon. This power, combined with his incredible physical durability, made him virtually unbeatable. He took control of Wano country, where, allied with Shogun Orochi, he established a brutal tyranny. His goal was clear: to turn Wano into a gigantic weapons factory and create an army of Smile Devil Fruit users to start the greatest war in history. He wanted the world to fall so a new order, free from weakness, could be reborn from its ashes. To achieve his goal, Kaido assembled a massive pirate organization with about 20,000 members. His crew had 9 powerful ancient Zoan users who served as his strongest fighters. 3 of them served as Kaido's right-hand men, while the other 6 served under them. Kaido's fleet also used artificial devil fruits called Smile. These fruits granted those who ate them animal powers, significantly strengthening his army. Unlike Whitebeard, who built his family, Kaido didn't believe in friendship or love. He saw strength as the only value. His philosophy was that smiles were a sign of weakness, and that true freedom wasn't just being able to do whatever you want, but being able to die in a fight you choose yourself. His reign in Wano country was a real nightmare for its inhabitants. Under his rule, hunger, poverty, and fear flourished. The environment was destroyed, and people were forced to work in his factories until they were completely exhausted. During the Marineford incident, Kaido, upon learning of the war, tried to go there to join it and help the old man Whitebeard, but was stopped by Shanks and his crew. Kaido is largely inspired by the Oni of Japanese mythology, man-eating demons who are often depicted with horns, a massive build, and a kanabo. Kaido's appearance, his horns, and his weapon are all direct references to this myth. His dragon form symbolizes Eastern mythology, where dragons are deities capable of controlling clouds and weather. Kaido possesses all 3 types of haki at the highest level. Combined with his armament haki and observation haki, he becomes practically invincible. Kaido's defeat at Luffy's hands wasn't just the end of a villain, but the fulfillment of his deepest wish: to die in a battle that he himself admired. He predicted his own death, telling King in his youth, if someone ever manages to stop him, that creature or person would be none other than Joy Boy himself.
King, 俺はジョイボーイが誰だか分かった。誰です？この先俺を倒した男だ。
Kaido's final bounty was 4,611,100,000 berry. Big Mom. Charlotte Linlin, better known as Big Mom, was a formidable whisper that echoed throughout the New World, and her empire, Totoland, is a vast fairy tale world made of sweets where gingerbread houses sing and trees laugh. Her official bounty of 4,388,000,000 berry places her among the greatest legends of the sea. Her ambition and monstrous strength made her one of the main forces on the sea. But her story is one of an eternal hunger, both physical and emotional. Big Mom's story begins on the island of Elbath, where she found herself as a child. Even then, her strength was monstrous. At the age of 5, she could destroy an entire village of giants, and even defeat one of their legendary warriors. Her adoptive mother was Mother Carmel, a kind woman who took in abandoned children. Her teachings were based on love and compassion, and she tried to teach the young Linlin to restrain her strength. But in reality, Mother Carmel was not who she appeared to be. She was cunning and sold powerful children like Linlin to the Marines. Thanks to her, the Marines already had several giants. On Linlin's 6th birthday, in a fit of uncontrollable hunger, she created pure chaos, during which she ate her birthday cake, and then, to the horror of witnesses, ate Mother Carmel along with the other children. The witnesses to this tragedy were one of the giants of Elbaf, who was shocked by what he saw, and the pirate Streusen. It was at that moment that Lin Lin unconsciously gained the powers of Mother Carmel's devil fruit, the Soru Soru no Mi. From then on, Lin Lin dreamed of creating an ideal world, a utopia where all races coexist in peace. This world was to be under her control, and she used her power and huge family to achieve it. Big Mom became one of the main forces in the new world, using her 85 children, 46 sons and 39 daughters, as tools to expand her influence. Her children were forced into arranged marriages, forging alliances with influential clans and kingdoms. Big Mom's fleet is enormous. It contains tens of thousands of soldiers, ships, and homies, and is led by her many children. The crew also had an unknown number of subordinate crews in the past who joined the Charlotte family, including the Sun Pirates and the Fire Tank Pirates, who later betrayed her. The most well-known and powerful members are the 3 Sweet Commanders, her most powerful children. The sheer size of her army is enough to crush other powerful pirate crews and maintain control over the vast territory of Totoland. Her power over souls allowed her to bring objects to life, turning them into her loyal servants. Her devil fruit allowed her to take the souls of others and use them as she pleased. She could take a person's life force, but with one key condition. She could only do so with those who felt fear or had a weak haki. This explains why she lived so long. When Jinbei decided to leave her crew, she tried to take his remaining life for his betrayal, but she couldn't take anything because he didn't feel a single bit of fear toward her. Her connection with Kaido also has deep roots. She not only fought alongside him in the Rocks Pirates, but later gave him one of the powerful devil fruits at God Valley, as I mentioned earlier. To Lin Lin, anyone who dared to disrupt her ideal world became an enemy. Luffy and his crew became one of her biggest threats when they invaded Totoland to rescue Sanji. They ruined her wedding ceremony, stole the poneglyph data, broke her favorite wedding cake, smashed Mother Carmel's portrait, and shook her authority. This confrontation became a personal offense to her. After Whitebeard's death, Big Mom immediately took control of Fishman Island. Even though her own daughter, Praline, is a fish woman and married to the fishman Aladdin, Big Mom mercilessly tyrannized the island, demanding tribute in the form of huge amounts of sweets. As an emperor, Big Mom had a perfect mastery of all 3 types of haki. Her Conqueror's haki was so powerful that it could knock hundreds of people unconscious. Combined with her armament haki, which made her body even tougher, she was virtually invulnerable to physical attacks. In Wano country, her story came to an end. In the midst of the battle, after a fierce confrontation with Kid and Law, Big Mom was defeated. She was thrown off Onigashima Island and fell into the magma. Her last words were addressed to Roger as she fell into the fiery ocean. Big Mom was a cruel tyrant, but despite that, she genuinely loved each of her children and was ready to protect them. Her uncontrollable fits of rage and appetite destroyed everything she built, but even in a state of amnesia in Wano country, she protected a little girl named Otama from an attack by Page 1 and Ulti, red-haired Shanks. Shanks' story begins 39 years before the present events, during the God Valley incident. It was there that he was born, alongside with his twin brother Shamrock. Their father is Figureland Garling, a mysterious and cruel warrior closely associated with the celestial dragons. From his first days, fate was harsh to the boy. Garling killed the twins' mother and was about to take them to Mary Joie to raise them as part of the celestial dragons. Moreover, he intended to marry Shaki, but fate had other plans. Their dying mother managed to ask the young dragon, who was a marine at the time, for help. He was the one who saved the children, hiding them in a treasure chest. After the chaos of God Valley, one of those chests fell into the hands of the Roger Pirates, and that's where the future Pirate King first saw the little red-haired boy. That's how Shanks' real life began. He grew up among pirates, witnessed the greatest events of that era, and absorbed the spirit of freedom. On Roger's ship, Shanks was always close to Buggy, and ironically, unlike the other crew members, they didn't learn the secret of the One Piece at Laugh-Tale because they simply weren't there. Shanks' main weapon isn't just his sword, Griffin, but also his haki. which astonishes even battle-hardened warriors. He was the first in history to show the true power of Conqueror's Haki when he saved Luffy from the Sea King. It was then that he lost his arm, doing it for a boy in whom he saw the future of a new era of pirates. This scene was so important that, according to Oda, the idea of the lost arm was suggested by his editor to make the story more dramatic and moving. Roger's straw hat given to Luffy became a promise, a baton passed from the old era to the new. Shanks is known as the killer of observation haki. His haki is so powerful that he can suppress the foresight of his enemies, robbing them of the ability to see the future. Simply put, he cuts off his opponent's observation haki, making them helpless. This technique makes him unpredictable and an extremely dangerous enemy. In battle, he masterfully combines armament haki and conqueror's haki, enhancing his sword to an incredible level. At Marineford, he easily stopped Akainu's magma-filled punch, the same one that was dangerous even to Whitebeard. Like Roger, Shanks is the only one of the emperors who hasn't eaten a devil fruit. He also doesn't have any devil fruit users in his main crew. He has a scar on his face left by Teach. He personally showed this mark to Whitebeard, trying to convince him to call Ace back.
俺にどうしろってんだ。それが本題だろう。エースを止めてくれ。
The scar also became a key fan for theories. Many believe that the meeting with the five elders wasn't with Shanks himself, but with his twin brother, since his scar was hidden. And when, years later, the plot confirmed the existence of a brother, the fans were proven right. Unlike Doflamingo, who is forever barred from entering Mary Joie, Shanks was granted entry, but he chose the path of freedom and piracy. His Figureland lineage makes him special even among the emperors. In the New World, Shanks met with Ace, who came to thank him for saving Luffy. Upon learning that Ace was Luffy's sworn brother, Shanks was amazed at how small his investment had led to such a deep connection. This meeting further strengthened his faith in the coming generation. The red-haired pirates are different from other emperors' crews. They have not many ships and allies, Shanks, his first mate Ben Beckham, and 8 senior officers. Their fleet is weaker in numbers than Big Mom's or Kaido's, but their strength is concentrated in their individual members. They were the ones who stopped the Beast Pirates from going to Marineford and ended the Great War with their mere appearance. No admiral dared to challenge Shanks. Today, Shanks' bounty is 4,048,900,000 berry. After the events in Wano, he publicly declared his intention for the first time, to join the race for the One Piece. Blackbeard. Teach's story begins 39 years before the present events, in the same place as Shanks' story, at God Valley. It is known that he is the son of Captain Zebek, and his father's motives were not a lust for treasure, but an attempt to save a young Teach and his mother. His rise to the status of an emperor was rapid, based on cunning, betrayal, and a furious will. Behind his audacious behavior lies a mind that waited for the perfect moment for years. For a long time, Teach lived on Whitebeard's ship, hiding his true motives. He was taken aboard as a child, although it is unknown if Whitebeard knew he had taken in the son of his former captain. Teach waited patiently, studying devil fruits because he knew he needed a special one. When his comrade Thatch found the Yami Yami no Mi, Teach killed his brother to take it. It was on that day he showed his true face and became a traitor. Marco, the doctor of the Whitebeard pirates, noted that Teach's body has an unusual structure, which explains why he is the only known person in the world who possesses the power of 2 devil fruits. When Teach met Luffy and Zoro, they noticed that Teach wasn't he, but they.
何者かしらさあ、それにあいつじゃねえ。あいつじゃない？じゃあ何？
あいつらだ、多分な。
This aligns with information from the manga, which indicates that Teach is a descendant of Davy Jones and possibly has 3 hearts, like an octopus. This anatomical possibility may explain why, according to Buggy, Teach never sleeps, which is another mystery that demonstrates his incredible endurance. Teach ate the Yami Yami no Mi, a unique Logia-type fruit that allows him to control and transform his body into darkness. However, unlike other Logia users, he cannot become intangible. Any damage he receives causes him pain. But in return, his fruit has a broken ability. He can nullify the powers of other devil fruit users just by touching them. In addition to this, he possesses incredible armament haki. By hardening his arm, he was able to protect himself from the sword strike of S-Hawk. Teach didn't stop at the Yami Yami no Mi. He planned to capture Luffy and hand him over to the Marines to become a warlord of the sea. When Ace found out, he said he wouldn't let it happen. In the battle, Ace was defeated and handed over to the Marines, which started the Great War at Marineford. Teach brilliantly used the chaos of the war to achieve his goals. Thanks to his Warlord of the Sea privileges, he visited Impel Down and freed many monsters from level 6, adding them to his crew. At Marineford, he finished off Whitebeard and mysteriously took his fruit, the Gura Gura no Mi. With this unprecedented power, Teach became the world's first user of 2 devil fruits and a new emperor, crushing the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates during the time skip. Today, the forces of the Blackbeard pirates have grown exponentially. He is supported by the 10 captains, powerful officers, each of whom possesses the power of a devil fruit. Their ranks include former Impel Down prisoners, including Shiryu, as well as the former Marine Admiral Kuzan. In addition, Teach has many subordinate crews and full control over Hachinosu Island, which once belonged to his father. Fans have long noted that one of his crewmates carries a bag of fruits used. They kill the devil fruit users and take their powers when the fruit is reborn. Teach is constantly looking for new powers. He lured Gecko Moria, offering him a chance to join, but ultimately captured him when he refused. He invaded Amazon Lily to kill Boa Hancock and steal her fruit, but was stopped by Rayleigh. He also fought Trafalgar Law to take his poneglyphs and the Ope Ope no Mi, but Law escaped thanks to the unexpected help of Beppo. Teach skillfully uses his opponents. He valued Kobe's actions in the Rocky Port incident, which helped him seize Hachinosu. He later took Kobe hostage to use him as leverage against the Marine headquarters. Because of this, Garp arrived at Hachinosu and Teach's pirates, led by Kuzan, captured him, gaining a much more valuable hostage. Jewelry Bonnie held a grudge against Teach, but he merely mocked her, offering her to become his woman, unaware that she was a child disguised as a young woman. His ultimate goal is world domination. Teach's first known bounty was 2,247,600,000 berry, but it later rose to 3,996,000,000 berry. He is one of the worst generation, was a warlord of the sea, and became an emperor. Clown Buggy. Buggy's history before he became a pirate is shrouded in mystery. Unlike Shanks and Teach, whose past is connected to God Valley, nothing is known about Buggy's youth. His path began with a crew, the Roger Pirates. He served as a cabin boy on the legendary ship, the Oro Jackson, alongside Shanks. From the start, Buggy and Shanks were rivals, constantly bickering and never missing a chance to tease each other. On Roger's ship, Buggy witnessed the greatest events of his era. He saw the battle against Shiki, where his captain single-handedly withstood a massive fleet. He saw Whitebeard fight against his crew, and remembered his strength even years later.
白ひげはあいつはな、かつて海賊王ロジャーと唯一互角に戦った伝説の怪物なんだ。
But his fate changed forever due to a single accident. Buggy accidentally stumbled upon a devil fruit and was planning to sell it for a huge sum of money. But because of Shanks' sudden appearance, he was so startled that he accidentally swallowed the fruit and also lost a treasure map because of Shanks. The fruit turned out to be the Bara Bara no Mi, and Buggy became the first devil fruit user on Roger's ship. His jealousy of Shanks, to whom Roger gave more attention and even passed on his famous straw hat, grew every day. Shanks and Buggy don't know what the One Piece is because Buggy fell ill before they arrived at Laugh-Tale. He couldn't go to the final island and Shanks stayed behind to look after him, not wanting to abandon his brother. This incident, as well as the loss of the treasure map that Buggy always holds against Shanks, became the main reason for their future rivalry. After Captain Roger's execution, Buggy was disappointed that Shanks didn't want to search for the One Piece and just decided to be a pirate. For a long time, Buggy was a nobody pirate in the East Blue with a low bounty of 50 million berry. He was obsessively hunting for the treasure of the legendary Captain John, a member of the Rock's crew, and in his search for this treasure, he even visited the pirate island of Hachinosu. Eventually, his hunt led him to the Grand Line, where he and his crew were captured by the Marines. He was imprisoned in the world's greatest prison, Impel Down. There, his fate took another sharp turn. He met Luffy, who had come to rescue Ace. Buggy joined Luffy, and together they successfully escaped. It was in Impel Down that Buggy showed himself to be an expert on family connections. He said that if Luffy was Dragon's son, then Rayleigh could be an uncle to Luffy.
確かあいつの親父は革命家ドラゴンって言ってたよな。で、じいさまがガープだろ。この流れでいくとレイリーさんは実はおじさんだったとか。
After their successful escape, the Marines announced that Buggy was the sworn brother of Shanks, and a former member of the Pirate King's crew. This statement caused a sensation among the escaped prisoners, who saw Buggy as a great pirate and became his followers. At Marineford, thanks to his absurd but grandiose speeches, he became a hero in everyone's eyes. The world government, recognizing his increased influence, granted him the status of Warlord of the Sea. Thanks to this, Buggy founded his Buggy's Delivery service and became an influential businessman in the pirate world. When the Warlord system was dissolved, Crocodile and Mihawk came to Buggy's aid. Crocodile, who once considered Buggy a pathetic loser, came to sink the Marine fleet and demand repayment of the debt that Buggy owed him for creating his business. They founded the Cross Guild organization, which began to hunt Marines, offering bounties for their heads. But due to the excessive admiration and absurd mistake of his followers, Buggy was depicted on the posters as the leader of the Cross Guild, with Crocodile and Mihawk as his subordinates. This earned him a colossal bounty of 3,189,000,000 berry and the status of an emperor. Crocodile was furious and beat him, but Mihawk suggested using Buggy as a public face so they could operate in the shadows, avoiding unwanted attention. It was at this moment that Buggy, living in constant fear of Crocodile and Mihawk's rage, realized his true purpose. Hearing Shanks' announcement that he was joining the race for the One Piece, Buggy decided it was better to die than live in fear. He called on his followers and the entire Cross Guild to set out in search of the One Piece. Buggy's fruit, the Barabara no Mi, is one of his main strengths. He cannot be cut by a sword, which makes him invulnerable to such attacks. Of all the current and former emperors, Buggy is the only one who is not known to possess any type of haki. Buggy's name was inspired by Boogie from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Interestingly, his bounty poster has a striking resemblance to Zebek's poster. Straw Hat Luffy. Monkey D. Luffy, the main character and heart of the entire One Piece saga, is the living embodiment of freedom and an indomitable will. His story begins in a small village called Fuchsia, where, as a child, he met Shanks. Inspired by his stories of the sea and adventure, Luffy accidentally ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi fruit and vowed to assemble a crew and become the Pirate King. In response, Shanks, believing in his potential, gave him Roger's straw hat, a priceless symbol of a promise. This hat became not just a piece of headwear, but a baton passed from one of the strongest pirates to the next generation, marking the beginning of a new era. His youth was spent under the strict supervision of his grandfather, Marine Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp, who tried to make him a Marine. However, Luffy's freedom-loving spirit knew no bounds. He grew up with his sworn brothers, Ace and Sabo, and the fraternal oath made his dream of freedom even stronger. These bonds became his most valuable treasure. For years, Luffy used the power of his Gomu Gomu no Mi devil fruit, which turned his body into rubber. He developed unique fighting styles to increase his speed and strength. But during the battle with Kaido in Wano, the true nature of his fruit was revealed. It's actually a mythical Zoan, the Hito Hito no Mi, model Nika. This fruit is the embodiment of the sun god and the warrior of liberation, Joy Boy. It grants its user rubber properties and the most free-spirited fighting power in the world, allowing them to use their imagination, turning everything around them into absurdity and laughter, and bringing liberation to those who suffer. In addition, Luffy mastered all three types of haki. His Conqueror's haki is one of the most powerful in the world, and he learned to use its advanced form, Armament haki, which allows him to cause damage even without touching his opponent. This ability, known as Conqueror's Coding, made him an equal to the Emperor Kaido. His Observation haki reached its highest level, allowing him to see into the future. Luffy is one of the few people who has combined the power of a mythical Zoan fruit with the mastery of all three types of haki, making him practically invincible. Luffy's path was not without its hardships. The greatest loss for him was the death of his brother Ace, who was killed by Sakazuki during the Marineford War. This tragedy became a turning point, forcing Luffy to mature and understand that to achieve his dream, he needed immense strength. After this, he went through a 2-year training period to become stronger and protect his crew. In his great ascent to the top of the pirate world, he challenged and defeated 2 emperors, Kaido and Big Mom, which allowed him to take their place. His new bounty of 3 billion berries solidified his status, and after the events in Wano, he was recognized as a full-fledged emperor. Luffy was connected to the other emperors we discussed. He idolizes Shanks, his mentor and inspiration. He interacted with Whitebeard, and even defied him in front of the entire world, saying that he, not Whitebeard, will become the Pirate King. He infiltrated Big Mom's territory, ruined a wedding, and defeated her right-hand man, Katakuri. He has a deep hatred for Blackbeard, because he was the cause of Ace's death. And of course, he has a long and amusing history with Buggy, who was always his rival and is now, ironically, his fellow emperor. As a D descendant, Luffy carries on his shoulders not only the dream of freedom, but also a destiny that may be predetermined. He didn't have a childhood with his father Dragon, but because Dragon saved Shanks, Luffy is who he is today.